Today we're going to be doing grout, marble, and glass block with ceramic tile. So let's get started with our first step. To seal the grout, we're only going to need 2 white terry cloth towels, one to wipe it on with and one to buff it off with. We take a standard sprayer and just spray the grout line, saturating it completely, and just basically paint it on. And as you can see, wherever we hit it, the grout's turning dark, meaning it's penetrating and sealing up the porous grout. On this shower, we used an unsanded grout, which is a little less porous than sanded grout, as you'll see when we do the glass block. Okay, we've sprayed the top half of this. Now we're going to rub it in with our microfiber towel, our white terry cloth towel, and we're going to saturate all the tile so that we can seal every bit of grout and every bit of tile. This first step can be used on ceramic tile and natural marble. Now we're going to continue spraying and again get all the grout lines. The secret to sealing grout and tile is to saturate the grout to make sure it gets deep penetration, and then to wipe it over the tile. Again, you can tell where you've done just by watching the grout go dark and then checking for any missed spots and then rubbing it in with your other towel. After wiping the wall down with our wet rag, then we're going to go to our dry rag and we're going to buff off the residue. This is to make sure we don't get any streaking on the tile. And we've already got penetration on the grout, so we don't have to worry about it being sealed because we've already put it into the stone and the grout. Now we're just buffing off the residue after sealing all the grout. Again, to remove the smear, make sure you got a nice clean finished tile when you're done. We've sprayed the whole wall down. Now we're just wiping in the sealer into all the areas, making sure we've got a good coating again. Again, just wiping off the residue. dryer towel and finish it off. Now we've sealed all the backsplash and we just let the water run down onto the marble. Now we're going to make sure that we get the marble on all areas. So we're going to coat it well and we're going to rub it in. We're going to make sure we do the edges because they're the most porous after your marble or granite has been machined and cut to size and repolished. And we're going to make sure we get around all the faucets where we're going to get the most water. We're going to rub that in real well. Always get your seam at your backsplash. That's going to be the most porous area where water is going to sit. So you're going to saturate that again. We did it as we did the sides. Now we're going to do it again for the top. Make sure that we have complete saturation and penetration. Make sure you get under any lips because water is just going to run down to them anyway. So you got to get it saturated and wiped in. You can see how much darker the marble turns when it gets wet. That's the sealer penetrating down in. And that will lighten back up to its original color. And that's when you'll know you're ready to do the second step to seal your shower. Now we're just going to buff off the residue. If you can get a close-up right here, you can see when you should start buffing is the sealer is half dry, half wet, half dry. I don't know if you can see the actual streaking in there. But that's the time to remove the sealer. If you do it too soon, you haven't penetrated. If you do it too late, you're going to have trouble removing the residue. To seal glass block, it's the same as doing the tile. You want to seal all your grout lines first. Again, spray them so they saturate. Don't worry about the tile, it won't, or the glass, it won't hurt it at all. So you just spray it on all your grout lines. Don't worry about sealer dripping on the floor or anything else. It wipes up easily and doesn't leave any mess. And then all you do is rub it in and wash your block off. Get any residue that the contractor left on there. After wiping in the sealer, you just buff off the residue with a clean dry towel. Now we're going to seal the baseboard and the flooring. In a small area like this, you can use a spray bottle. In a larger area, we recommend a Hudson sprayer for, over a couple of 100 square feet. So first we're going to seal the grout on the backsplash. Now you want to be careful not to get any on the walls, because when you go to paint the wall, the paint won't stick to the sealer, and you'll have to either have to sand it off or use kills to coat it so that you can get the paint to stick to the wall. And then once we do the backsplash, the toe kick, we're just going to spray the grout lines again. Once you've saturated all the grout lines, then use your rag to just, again, spread it over the tile. And make sure everything's sealed. An easy way after you're done sealing your floor to buff it off is with 2 towels under your feet. And just skate it and buff it off completely. And then your floor will be finished. Now we've let the grout dry for approximately 2 hours, which is more than long enough to evaporate the carrier that was on it. And as you can see, it's lightened all back up to its original color. And now we're ready to put our second sealer on, which is a finer, deeper penetrator, and we'll seal it even better. So again, we're just going to paint the grout lines like this. And again, you can see them going dark because this sealer is a deeper penetrator. So it's going around the first sealer and making it even a more solid seal. And that's what we're after. No trying to keep all the moisture out of it. Seal it up 100%. And even though we're keeping the water out, this is still what they call a breathable sealer, so that should any moisture get behind it, it can still evaporate out. And when I mean behind it, I mean through rain or leaks in the wall or things like that. Not water penetrating from the front. You see where I place my towel is to keep the sealer from getting on the wall and only on the grout. Now we're just buffing off the excess, wiping it in actually, we're not buffing yet. Making sure that we've got an even coat everywhere. And then as I mentioned before, when that becomes half dry, I will start buffing it off completely. As you can see, we're already drying here, so we're going to buff off the residue now and make sure that we don't have any smears left over. And again, it's not very hard, not putting a lot of pressure. Just need to go over it with a dry towel. And that's all there is to it. Again, to seal glass block, you only need to paint your grout lines and then rub it in. Don't worry about the glass, it's not going to hurt it. Now the sealer is half dry. I'm just wiping it off the tile, getting rid of all the residue, and it'll be finished. Now we're going to do the final coat on the marble. Just spray it on and rub it in. And then continue with the rest of it. Now to prepare the glass for its last treatment, we're going to use our microfiber towel and remove all the residue of the second sealer, because we have a glass sealer that's going to go on this to keep the hard water spots from sticking to it. and make it easier to clean. Now we're going to apply our glass sealer directly to the glass block. So we'll just do a little spray, and then we'll rub it on, trying to keep it off the grout as much as possible. And then we'll just repeat the process over and over again. And the sealant bonds permanently to the glass, so this is the only time you have to apply it. And then we have a aftercare clean and shine to take care of the glass block for the rest of its life. After you apply the glass sealer, then you take the clean and shine and just lightly spray it over. And it doesn't matter if it goes on the grout. It'll just seal it up even more. You just rub it in like so. And that removes all the carrier from the glass sealer. And use a microfiber towel, and you buff off the residue. And you have crystal clear sealed glass. You can use clean and shine on marble countertops, but I don't recommend you get it in the bathtub because it makes everything very slippery. So it would be a hazard. But for your marble and granite, you just apply it, rub it in. We'll do the windowsill. Then we'll do the deck. As you can see, we don't use very much of it. Just a spray and a wipe. And then after you finish applying it, use your microfiber towel. And you have to use a microfiber towel to remove the carrier and leave the finished polymer behind. Now we're going to do a simple water test to see how well we've sealed it. And just pour some on here a little bit. And if you can see, it's got a very high bead on it. Complete repellency. And as you can see, we can't even rub it into the stone. And if you remember when we were putting the sealer on, the stone would go dark immediately. And as you can see now, it's completely repellent.